Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Kylie Welsh and I'm the founder of Brisbane Woman, and I'd like to welcome you to our Business Success Tips series, where we're bringing you valuable skills and business education designed to make your business more profitable. Now, one of the areas that I wanted to talk about today is the power of story. Now, story is an incredible power, and by that I mean your story. Story is an amazing way to not only build credibility, but more importantly, to connect in a really compelling way with your audience. So my story, for example, began when I was in my late 20s, and I was a very, very serious young woman, where I was working 60 hours a week plus in a corporate HR role, and I really thought that I had my life very planned out and determined. Now, what happened is, in a space of 1 week, I was offered my 2 dream jobs. One of those was as a national training manager's role for a client, and the second one was a partnership with the firm that I was working with. Now, as you can imagine, my elation when this happened, and when I went home that weekend to consider my life options, things really came crashing down for me as I realised that both of those purposes were no longer exciting or interesting to me. For anyone who's worked really hard towards something, you'll probably understand and relate to how confronting that is. But also it's important to really honour that when you know that something's not right for you anymore. So I said no to both of those offers and resigned from my job, and really took some time out because I knew, and this sounds really corny to say, but I knew that I wanted to make a difference. I knew that I wanted to have fun. I knew that I wanted to have freedom and be able to create something of my own. So it was really in that time of intense retrospective that I started writing about women, and hence my book evolved from there. And it was a story about the changing role of women, I suppose, and how that impacts on our relationships and our life and the choices we make in there. And that was an amazing experience for me, and one that I just loved every minute of it. But when I went to get it published, I couldn't get published because I was an unknown writer. I'd never had any writing experience. So it took really a full 12 months of hard knocks before I finally found a publishing deal with a small independent publisher who didn't do a large publishing run for me, but it was really a start, and I leveraged that start, or I leveraged that book, I should say. I used that book really to set me up as an expert, because what happened is, overnight, I became an expert in modern women. And that was evident through the fact that I was interviewed on the radio, I was interviewed in magazines, so it was very, very exciting. And when I came back to Brisbane at that time, so this was late 2004, early 2005, I decided that it was now or never with my writing career. I'd sort of been working part-time and juggling a few things, and I used that book to leverage my expertise in women, and I simply cut up sections of it and sent it out and to various publications. And I was lucky enough to secure a position with the Courier Mail as a freelance writer and have a weekly column about women. Now, in that role, that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed working and doing that. I was also working at a couple of other publications as well, but in that role I started attending networking events, and when I started attending networking events, as all of you know who do attend networking events, it's often a lot of business owners, and I was sort of overwhelmed, I suppose, with all the female entrepreneurs in Brisbane and other business owners as well, and it was really a feeling of coming home to me. Can't explain it, almost like a falling in love with my life purpose. And I started writing very passionately about women in business and what they were achieving here. Now, unfortunately, at the time, the publications I was working for weren't as interested in, women in business and that sort of thing. So I sort of was at a bit of a quandary and a bit frustrated, really. And I thought, well, do you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. So I started a blog called Brisbane Woman, and I was petrified that no one would read it, no one would be interested in it, people would think it was boring. But I thought, well, I'm going to do it for a few weeks and see how it goes. Now, within probably 3 months, I had 500 weekly readers. So I knew that I was onto something because I was providing interesting content and valuable information for business owners. And that's really how my business started. from there, we went into networking events, which was a way of connecting all these wonderful women. And then we went into core business training, which is a valuable part of it, because I believe that a success mindset and business education are the key to creating a successful business. So we really concentrated a lot on business education through our masterclasses and online webinars as well. So 2 years later, we have over 1,500 business owners actively engaged through the Brisbane Woman community, which is wonderful. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing my story today. That is phase 1 of my story. There is a phase 2, but I'll save that for another time. But I'd like you to think about, through listening to this, whether or not you feel more connected to me maybe, or you've got a deeper understanding of why I do what I do, or maybe you just feel more compassion to my cause. I'm not sure. There could be a lot of different things that you're thinking about. But one thing you will know is that you've probably changed a little bit about your perception of me and who I am. And you've probably had a perception, as we all do, of each other. So what I want you to do from all of this is think about how this relates to your business and how compelling your story could be for your audience to hear, and whether or not you're providing the opportunity for them to hear that. And you can do that by providing an audio, getting someone to interview you, maybe doing a little welcome message or a video like this, so that the audience actually knows and feels your passion for what you do. Because one thing is really, really important, or obvious I should say, and that is we love to connect with passionate people. So make sure you're letting your audience connect with your passion, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of success with that. So thank you very much. One of the things I did want to mention is that at Brisbane Woman, we're all about taking action to create successful businesses. So I'd like you to do one of two things, or both of them. First of all, I'd like you to comment below about the power of story, whether you're using it, if you do think it has influence. And secondly, if you've got a video or an audio, I'd love for you to share that on the Brisbane Woman fan page on Facebook, because that would be a wonderful way for people to really connect with you and to learn your personal story rather than just your business story. So thank you very much for today, and I look forward to next week sharing our next business success tip. Goodbye.